Welcome back. People are petitioning against a 50 million rand government donation to Cuba. Over 50 non-profit organizations have come together under the banner Hunger Relief Coalition to stop the donation. They say the money could be used to address hunger in South Africa. Let's speak to Arnold Tansa, who's the chairperson of Chefs with Compassion, which is one of the organizations that are involved in this particular coalition. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Arnold. I've mentioned very briefly some of the concerns that you've raised around the donation to Cuba, but really just the biggest motivation that got all your organizations to rally together and speak out to government against the donation.
Yeah, well, thank you first of all for having us on your show. We really appreciate the time that you've given us. On the 2nd of Feb, the Deputy Minister of DIRCO, Mr. Alvin Bottas, announced this 50 million rand donation to alleviate hunger issues in Cuba. On the 7th of February, a group of NPOs that work daily in South Africa with alleviating hunger and the systematic issues that we have in South Africa with people going hungry, formed a coalition, and we started a petition on change.org. And up to today, we've had over 15,000 fellow South Africans who have signed that they wish the government to halt this money going to Cuba. Look, what we realize that in all likelihood the money will go to Cuba. It's something we understand. We also understand the historical significance Cuba has in the liberation of South Africa. But we do want to engage with governments to see how we can, for once and for all, alleviate hunger in South Africa.
And that's very important. I mean, you have indicated that you would like to meet with the Minister of Social Development, for example. Have those conversations started to happen? Is there any movement in them hearing you all out as an organization or a coalition?
Well, we have a meeting with DIRCO. They've agreed to meet us on Thursday, Victoria, where we are going to hand over the signed petition. And hopefully from there we will it will spiral into talking to other people in government, particularly the President, Mr. Ramaphosa, who would like to treat hunger in South Africa as a pandemic that it is. 52% of South Africans are what we call food insecure. In other words, they don't know where their next meal is coming from at a certain time of the month. Now, 52% of our population of roughly 60 million people, 30 million people in South Africa have no idea where their next meal comes from. Whereas in Cuba, only 19.8% of people are food insecure. So we kind of don't understand why the government would not look at its own people in terms of what they are going to do in the future to ensure that we alleviate hunger.
Right.
To the Minister, sorry.
No, continue, please. Finish your thought.
Yeah, we would like to engage with the Minister, Lindiwe Zulu, of Social Development, to rise to the occasion, to recognise that over 15,000 people are protesting this money going forward, and more importantly, to recognise that millions of people in South Africa are voiceless and helpless in this situation. This falls under her department directly, hunger and social development, and we would like her to leave a legacy of ensuring that particularly children are not malnourished and stunted. So I guess the challenge is out to her to meet with us and the other NPOs who are forming part of this coalition to engage with the learned people who have done the research to alleviate the systematic root issues that cause hunger in South Africa.
Yeah, and what's particularly concerning and I suppose very difficult for organizations like yourselves is that you are feeding many of these South Africans who are food insecure. And unfortunately, instead of having the arm of the government helping you and assisting you in terms of resources, a lot of your organizations unfortunately have to rely on donations from ordinary South Africans. And we all know that South Africans have been struggling because of the pandemic, unable to afford their own livelihoods, and must still be cognizant of those that are food insecure and obviously donate whatever they can. Surely this is a very, very difficult thing for you all to navigate.
Yeah, I think with all the organizations, and whether it's a small community kitchen in a township or a larger NPO working, with a larger corporate donation, we all face the same issues. The interesting fact is that a third of all food produced in South Africa ends up in landfill, is food waste. In theory, we should have enough food in South Africa to feed every single person. And there is an obvious systematic root issue with how food is produced and how food gets to the end consumer, which we need to engage with in government to find a solution. The numbers are just going to rise of the hunger in South Africa. The pandemic certainly hasn't helped. And we really just want to engage with the learned people in government to find a solution to this problem.
Absolutely. Arnold, many thanks for joining us this evening. He's the chairperson of Chefs with Compassion, protesting against the 50 million rand donation to Cuba, saying that that money could feed the many food insecure South Africans that currently live here. Thank you very much for your time. Let's